Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to our show where today we bring you a special episode dedicated to the fierce, fabulous and forever formidable women warriors and leaders of history. So sit tight and prepare to be amazed by the tales of valor and victory as we showcase the incredible contributions of these trailblazing women who dared to defy the odds and shatter the glass ceiling in a man's world. You don't want to miss this. Before we dive into our first story, let me ask you a question. When you think of legendary warriors and influential leaders, whose faces come to mind? Chances are it's mostly men whose names echo through history books. Conquerors and emperors whose feats are celebrated in epic poems and whose statues adorn public squares. But what if I told you that there's another side to this tale, a story often overlooked but no less impactful? What if I introduced you to the world's forgotten women warriors and leaders? Those whose contributions have been overshadowed by the tides of time, but whose impact was as real and as resonant as any male counterpart. Are you intrigued? Good, then let's begin. Our journey starts in the heart of Africa, a continent pulsating with life, culture, and a rich tapestry of history. Here, nestled between the Atlantic Ocean and the Sahara Desert, lies the nation of Benin. Benin, a land steeped in tradition and home to the majestic Dahomey Amazons. Picture a time long ago when societal norms dictated that women should be confined to the domestic sphere, relegated to the roles of homemakers and child rearers. But in the kingdom of Dahomey, nestled in the heart of what we now call Benin, things were very different. There existed a unique social structure where women played a pivotal role in governance and most notably in warfare. This was not a society that subscribed to the conventional roles of gender. It was a place where women not only participated but thrived in traditionally male-dominated spheres. At the core of this remarkable system was the Dahomey Amazon, a formidable force comprised entirely of female warriors. Now you might wonder, why were these warriors so significant? Well, they were much more than just an elite fighting force. They were a testament to the empowerment of women in a time when such concepts were unheard of elsewhere. Their story began with rigorous training, a process that started when these girls were mere children. They were not pampered or sheltered. Instead, they were toughened and prepared to face the harsh realities of war and the challenges of statecraft. Imagine a young girl, barely a teenager, learning not just the art of combat, but also the intricacies of diplomacy and the demands of leadership. These young minds were not confined to classrooms, but thrown into a crucible of experience that tested their mettle. They learned survival skills in the wilderness, honed their fighting skills in mock battles, and developed a sense of discipline that knew no bounds. But why were these young girls subjected to such a demanding upbringing? The answer lay in the societal structure of the Dahomey kingdom. The Dahomeyans believed in a matrilineal system, meaning that lineage and inheritance were traced through the mother rather than the father. This had a profound impact on the lives of these women, granting them a level of agency and power rarely seen in other societies of the time. It meant that daughters, not sons, were seen as the primary heirs and were groomed to take on important roles, including that of warriors. In fact, the Dahomey Amazons were not just participants in wars, they were the backbone of the kingdom's military might. They were expected to defend the kingdom's borders, protect its people, and uphold its honor in times of conflict. Their courage and skill in battle were legendary, striking fear into the hearts of their enemies while inspiring awe and respect from their own people. Their weaponry was a study in practicality and efficiency. They did not rely solely on brute strength, but used a combination of traditional weapons such as swords, spears and shields, as well as modern firearms introduced by European traders. This blend of tradition and modernity made them a force to be reckoned with on the battlefield. But the Dahomey Amazons were not just about physical prowess. They were also expected to excel in diplomacy and strategy. They were the faces of the kingdom in negotiations with other states and were often tasked with forging alliances and maintaining peace. In a world where diplomacy was as crucial as warfare, they proved their versatility and intelligence. It was during the reign of King Gezo in the early 19th century that the Dahomey Amazons reached the height of their glory. Under his leadership, the kingdom expanded, trade flourished, and the Amazonian force grew in strength and influence. One of their most famous exploits came during the Battle of Dahomey in 1864, when they successfully defended their kingdom against an invading force. But as the centuries passed, the once mighty Dahomey Amazons faded into history. The introduction of new military technologies and the eventual colonization of Benin by the French led to the decline of this unique military force. By the early 20th century, the Dahomey Amazons, like many other indigenous cultures, were suppressed and their traditions nearly forgotten. Yet their story is not one of tragedy but of triumph. The Dahomey Amazons serve as a beacon of empowerment, a shining example of what can be achieved when societal norms are challenged and women are given the opportunity to reach their full potential. Now, if you're enjoying this journey through history, I invite you to show your support. A thumbs up would mean a lot, so go ahead and do that. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss out on our exciting episodes. Next, let's journey to the enchanting land of Vietnam, a nation renowned for its rich history and cultural magnificence. Here, amidst the emerald rice paddies and amidst the towering mountains, lies the story of the Trưng Sisters. Now picture this. It's the 1st century CE and the Han Dynasty has extended its influence to Vietnam, much to the discontent of the local population. Enter Trưng Tric and Trưng No, two sisters who become the faces of a rebellion that shook the foundations of Chinese authority. Their story is one of bravery, determination, and an unwavering commitment to freedom. The sisters, far from being ordinary citizens, were of noble birth. Their father, Trưng Trung, was a prominent leader who had resisted Chinese attempts at domination. He instilled in his daughters a deep sense of patriotism and a burning desire for independence. As they grew older, Trưng Tric and Trưng No became symbols of Vietnamese pride, known for their intelligence, courage, and leadership skills. The tinder was ready to ignite. The Chinese, despite their sophisticated administration, had alienated the Vietnamese population through heavy taxation and oppressive policies. This created a fertile ground for rebellion, a sentiment that the Trưng sisters were quick to capitalize on. When their father passed away, they took on the mantle of leadership, rallying the people under the banner of freedom. Soon, tens of thousands of Vietnamese, both men and women, had joined their cause. Among them were the brave female warriors, the Jin who fought alongside the sisters on the battlefield. They rode into battle astride powerful elephants, their mounts adorned with intricate trappings and deadly weaponry. Imagine the sight of these majestic creatures thundering across the landscape, their tusks sharpened to lethal points and their riders armed with bows, spears, and swords. The Chinese forces, caught off guard by the ferocity of the rebellion, found themselves facing an enemy that was not only numerous, but also highly skilled and motivated. The Trưng sisters employed a strategy of guerrilla warfare, utilizing their intimate knowledge of the mountainous terrain to launch surprise attacks and disappear into the hills before the Chinese could regroup. They fought with the tenacity of cornered tigers, their courage echoing through the ages. Despite their valiant efforts, the sisters were eventually captured by the Chinese. Trưng Tric was taken to the capital where she was paraded through the streets in humiliation. Later, she was executed in a manner designed to break the spirit of rebellion. Yet even in captivity, she displayed remarkable fortitude. She refused to renounce her cause and remained a symbol of defiance until her death. The legacy of the Trưng sisters lives on in the heart and soul of Vietnam. Statues have been erected in their honor and temples built to enshrine their memory. They are revered as national heroines, their bravery serving as a touchstone for generations of Vietnamese. Their story reminds us that the fight for freedom is a universal language that transcends time and borders. Now, if you've been captivated by these tales of courage and resilience, I urge you to hit that like button and subscribe for more. Your support means the world to us. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's turn our attention to medieval Europe, a realm often associated with chivalry, knights, and medieval castles. Yet amidst the tales of valiant knights and noble kings, there emerged a warrior whose story defies the confines of gender norms. Joan of Arc. Born in 1412 in a small village in France, Joan was a peasant girl whose destiny would intertwine with the fate of a nation. Her story began with a simple vision. Joan, tending to her daily chores, heard the voices that called her to action. They told her that France, which had been under siege by the English for decades, needed her help. But how could a simple peasant girl make a difference? Undeterred by societal norms, Joan set out on a journey to meet the French king, Charles VII. When she finally stood before the Dauphin, she was clad in simple rustic garb, a stark contrast to the finery of the royal court. Yet it was this humility that made her stand out. Joan, guided by her visions, asserted that she was destined to lead the French army to victory against the English. Skepticism hung heavy in the air, but Joan was undeterred. She convinced the Dauphin to allow her to lead troops into battle, and history was about to be rewritten. As the story goes, Joan, donned in shining armor, rode into battle astride a white horse. Her presence on the battlefield was nothing short of electrifying. The French troops, demoralized and on the brink of collapse, rallied around her. Inspired by her unshakable faith and courage, they fought with renewed vigor, turning the tide of the war in their favor. Joan's leadership was marked not just by military success, but by an unwavering sense of purpose and piety. Her most famous victory came at the Battle of Orleans, where she played a pivotal role in repelling the English siege. This victory was a turning point in the Hundred Years' War and established Joan as a national heroine. But her triumph was short-lived. Betrayed by Burgundian nobles, she was captured by the English and handed over to the Bishop of Beauvais. Facing charges of heresy and witchcraft, she was convicted and sentenced to life imprisonment. At the mere age of 19, Joan was burnt at the stake. Yet her spirit remained unbroken. In the centuries since, Joan of Arc has been canonized as a saint, and her story continues to inspire awe and admiration. Her legacy serves as a beacon, reminding us that courage knows no bounds and that even in the darkest of times, one person with unwavering conviction can make a world of difference. And our journey takes us to the vast and rugged landscapes of Mongolia, a land that has long been synonymous with the legendary Mongol Empire. Amidst the rolling grasslands and the azure skies, we encounter a warrior princess whose name echoes with the strength and spirit of her homeland, Khutulun. Born in the 1200s, Khutulun was a member of the royal Mongol clan and the great-great-granddaughter of the famed Genghis Khan, growing up in a society that revered strength, courage, and martial prowess. Khutulun was not merely a princess confined to palace walls. No, she was a force to be reckoned with on the battlefields of her time. One of the most remarkable aspects of Khutulun's story is her equestrian brilliance. She was said to be unmatched on horseback, riding with the grace of a swan and the power of a lioness. Her skills in archery were equally impressive, able to split a hair or burst a balloon with her arrows from incredible distances. But Khutulun was not just a skilled fighter. She was also known for her wrestling prowess. In fact, she was so confident in her abilities that she declared she would only accept a marriage proposal from a man who could defeat her in a wrestling match. And let me tell you, nobody succeeded. She earned hundreds of horses from defeated suitors, further cementing her reputation as a formidable warrior. Despite her warrior nature, Khutulun was not without vulnerability. She yearned for love and companionship, but she refused to settle for just anyone. She wanted a partner who could match her strength and spirit. Her story highlights the universality of human emotions, showing that even the fiercest warriors can have tender longings. Throughout history, women have repeatedly proven that they are not just capable, but often superior to men in various fields. Their contributions, however, have often been overlooked or minimized. We are here to rectify that. Stay tuned as we continue to explore the incredible lives of women who dared to dream big and break barriers.